economy with its resources. Our dreams are more than just possibilities. They are tomorrow's reality. Never be afraid to step out into the Zambia you see around you, proud and free as you do whatever you can with whatever you have, whoever and wherever you are. Look around you. The sun rises on our possibilities every day, and now we must rise with it.
This message is brought to you by the Socialist Party.
Chalo na chiwama. Hello, road network. Ama bridge.
Ama hospital. Ama hospital in Palampala.
Patients and the community are really appreciating this provision.
Gama skulu.
Learn freely without even being bothered about the school fees because we know that the government are paying for us.
In a month, na kuche vija vama nsomba.
Aqua culture.
Na vama light vija.
Energy sector.
Keep an eye on development every Thursday at 19 hours and every Saturday at 17 hours, only on KBN TV, the finest television.
For the most accurate and balanced news, we are a credible and trusted news source. We are KBN Television. Catch us live on Topstar Channel 102. And remember to like our page KBN TV on Facebook for all breaking news. KBN, the finest television.
It is Tuesday, the 15th of June 2021. To present the main news on the finest television at 19:30 Central African Time, my name is Petu Chanda. We take a look at stories that are making headlines tonight. ECZ suspends political campaigns for the PF and UPND. Artificial fuel shortage looms in Lusaka. Zambia records 28 COVID-19 deaths, 2,690 new cases. In foreign news, unidentified stones spike hopes of a diamond rush in South Africa. And in sports news, a football analyst described Polo Polo boys' performance during the friendlies as fair. And now the main news in detail. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has suspended political campaigns for ruling Patriotic Front and United Party for National Development, UPND, in Lusaka, Mpulungu, Namwala and Nakonde with immediate effect. Speaking during the briefing, Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Nshindano says the suspension is in the wake of the intensifying political violence being experienced in the four towns and will only be reviewed after 14 days. Mr. Nshindano has also cautioned media houses in covering the two political parties' activities following the jurisdiction to Article 229 of the Republican Constitution.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has today, the 15th of June 2021, suspended the Patriotic Front PF and United Party for National Development UPND from having all forms of campaigns in Lusaka, Namwala, Mpulungu and Nakonde due to political violence.
The Commission has, pursuant to Article 229, Sub-Article 2E of the Republican Constitution and Sub-Paragraphs 41, C, D, I, and 11D of the Electoral Code of Conduct, suspended with immediate effect all manner of political campaigns.
The suspension will be reviewed after 14 days. The Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Patrick Nshindano, was speaking at the press briefing where he addressed the media and staffs of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. He has since advised media houses not to cover any political activities for the two parties as they are being used to instigate violence and instilling fear in the general public. The Commission has also restricted a maximum of 3 members per household to conduct door-to-door campaigns and 1 vehicle for the public address campaigns. Commission has since signed a memorandum of understanding with the Local Government Service Commission with the purpose to establish a framework for cooperation exchange.
The memorandum of understanding being signed today is anchored on creating strong partnerships between the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the Local Government Service Commission in order to create synergies and enhance the sharing of knowledge on matters concerning the administration of elections. It is also meant to enhance strategies on disciplining erring officers, as well as cooperation in resolving audit queries related to the utilization of financial and material resources entrusted to the local authorities for the management of it.
Chairperson for Local Government Service Commission, Mr. Amos Musonda, has assured ECZ that the local authority have qualified and experienced staff to handle electoral assignments. Benithia Mumba reporting for KBN TV.
And the Inspector General of Police, Kakoma Kanganja, has directed all regulating officers to ensure that no political activity is undertaken by any member of the Patriotic Front PF and the United Party for National Development UPND in Lusaka, Namwala, Mpulungu and Nakonde districts due to escalating violence. Following the suspension of all political party activities by both parties, Mr. Kanganja says no notification of any intended public political activities by the PF and UPND shall be entertained or acknowledged by the police. He has since directed police officers to ensure that the number of those conducting door-to-door campaign activities do not exceed 3 per group as directed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ.
Following the suspension of all political party activities for the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development in Lusaka, Namwala, Mpulungu, and Nakonde districts due to escalating violence, I'm directing all regulating officers to ensure that no political activity is undertaken by any member of the affected political parties in the stated areas. This suspension entails that no notification of any intended public political activities by the PF and the UPND shall be entertained or acknowledged by the police in Lusaka, Mpulungu, Nakonde, and Namwala districts. Likewise, officers across the country should ensure that no political party undertakes roadshows, as such activities have been suspended by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Additionally, police officers should ensure that the number of those conducting door-to-door campaign activities does not exceed 3 per group. All police officers at all levels should ensure that there is strict adherence and compliance to these regulations. Any political party or members that will deliberately defy guidelines given by the Electoral Commission of Zambia should be dealt with accordingly.
Zambians for Unity, Peace and Development is highly impressed with the stance taken by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, on the suspension of political campaigns in Lusaka, Namwala, Mpulungu and Nakonde for the Patriotic Front PF and the United Party for National Development UPND. ZUPED President Ron Jerez says these affected areas have been hotbeds for political violence and intolerance, leaving many people injured and some unfortunately lost their lives. He says the move by the Commission is in the best interest of the country, as the two were spreader events of the COVID-19 virus and a breeding ground for political violence. Mr. Jerry has since appealed to the PF and UPND to intensify their efforts to curb electoral violence, as well as take advantage of the safe campaign practices that will not worsen the COVID-19 situation in the country.
As Zambians for Unity, Peace and Development, we are highly impressed with the stance taken by Electoral Commission of Zambia to suspend Patriotic Front, PF and United Party for National Development, UPND campaigns in Lusaka, Namwala, Mpulungu and Nakonde. These affected areas have been hotbeds for political violence and intolerance, leaving many people injured and some unfortunately lost their lives. We believe the move by the Commission to suspend roadshows is in the best interest of the country, as they too were spreader events of the coronavirus, and the breeding ground for political violence. For the sake of peace and sanity, we commend ECZ for suspending political activities in these areas, where not only political violence thrived, but it also evident that COVID-19 protocols were being flouted. I would like to once again appeal to political parties to in particular the PF and the UPND, to intensify their efforts to curb electoral violence, as well as take advantage of safe campaigns practices that will not worsen the COVID-19 situation in the country. Last week, Ministry of Health Secretary, Technical Services, Kennedy.
The Council of Churches in Zambia today officially launched the Youth Against Political Violence project, themed "Let Us Have a Violence-Free Election." Speaking during the launch, Council of Churches General Secretary Father Emmanuel Chikoya says the aim of the project is to build peace amongst political parties ahead of the forthcoming general elections. Father Chikoya says there's need to put necessary measures to mitigate political violence so as to promote peace building among different political players. He has, however, expressed concern on how youths are being used as tools of violence across the country. And Council of Churches President Reverend Sauros Paika says the country must continue to move forward even after the August general elections. Reverend Paika has since pledged for a violence-free election.
Violence, but practical actions must be seen of denouncing and condemning violence in its strongest terms. We shall do that. And we are expecting all the orders to expose, yes, where they require confessions and whatever, we shall pray with them in secret. But when it goes out of hand, we just say, I'm sorry, political party A, you are violent, this has to stop. And I think all of you must be asking a question. Would it be possible for a young man in Chiboria to go to Chipata at their own expense, buy pangas at their own expense, stay in a hotel at their own expense, and beat people, cut them to pieces at their own expense? No. Somebody is financing them. Somebody is patting them on the back. Who is that person? Who is that man? Who is that woman? Media, you are strategic. You need to help us ask those difficult questions. Who really is financing these people? Who is buying them the Land Cruisers and all those state-of-the-art vehicles that they can move from one point to the other? It is high time we stopped nursing this problem. It is high time we stopped playing around with this issue, because it has a potential of turning this country on fire, and that fire will spare no one. Rich or poor, high and mighty, secure or insecure, every one of us will be affected.
Pledge for a violent-free election. At the end of the day, what matters is not so much which candidate or which party wins an election. As long as the country wins, we are at peace with each other.
You're watching the main news at 19:30. We take our first set of commercials. Still to come, a fuel shortage has loomed in Lusaka. These and many more stories. Do stay with us.
The Euro 2020 is finally here. The biggest European football showcase starts on the 11th of June on Topstar. 24 teams playing 51 matches across 13 cities. France, Germany, England, Spain, plus many more. Who will be crowned the King of Europe for only 135 kwacha DTT Classic or 140 kwacha DTH Smart? Get your scores right and watch all the 51 games live and in HD on Wild Football. Subscribe now and relive the drama, the skills, and the excitement of the Euro 2020 on affordable Topstar subscription packages. You can't miss out on this best football tournament in June. So hurry and grab yourself a Topstar DTT full kit at only 149 kwacha or DTH full kit at only 299 kwacha and join the growing Topstar family. Topstar. Enjoy digital it all live.
Look around you. What do you see? You see Zambia with its vast natural resources, the optimism and hard work of its people. Look up to the sky. There's the sun shining on our brightest possibilities. Look at our country, God's gift, creating jobs and opportunities, empowering men and women to care for their families. You deserve a prosperous nation, communities driven by healthy and vibrant people. You deserve true greatness from this country we call home. You deserve Zambia's beauty, attracting tourists and reviving our economy with its resources. Our dreams are more than just possibilities. They are tomorrow's reality. Never be afraid to step out into the Zambia you see around you, proud and free as you do whatever you can with whatever you have, whoever and wherever you are. Look around you. The sun rises on our possibilities every day, and now we must rise with it.
This message is brought to you by the Socialist Party.
Welcome back. We continue with the main news. Fuel shortage has loomed in Lusaka, with some selected filling stations running out of the commodity. Long queues were found at Oasis filling station in Lusaka's Chalala area, while Toto and Injing filling stations in Chilenje Libala area have completely run out of the commodity. A round check by the KBN news crew in Lusaka's Libala, Kamwala and Woodlands area found only Oasis filling station offloading the commodity. Here's a report.
An artificial fuel crisis is looming around Lusaka as motorists queue up to fill their tanks in anticipation of a shortage. A check by KBN TV around Lusaka's Chalala area and Libala found some filling stations were empty and only one along Ring Road, Oasis filling station, was offloading a tanker while serving customers. A taxi driver spoken to Mr. Peter Maleva expressed his frustration as this is hampering his business activity. Another motorist spoken to by KBN, Mr. Samuel, said he was not in panic buying and that he budgeted to buy fuel, but he cannot find a filling station which has fuel. He only managed to find Oasis filling station along Ring Road when he was informed by his colleague that there was fuel.
Initially, we passed on our way somewhere.
Okay.
We tried to refuel from where I ate. Found there was no fuel. Panic buying.
Okay.
We had the intention of buying fuel.
Okay.
Then we bypassed the station.
Uh-huh.
Thinking we would buy it where we were going. Only to find there was nothing everywhere else.
Okay.
So we figured we'd come back.
Teresa Kalenga, KBN TV in Lusaka.
The Zambia Integrated Forestry Landscape Project ZIFLP has given a sub-grant of more than 800,000 kwacha to the committee in Malambalala area trained to venture into beekeeping. Chipata District Forestry Officer Emma Sakala says the committee was trained into forestry management and beekeeping as an initiative towards safeguarding the 450 hectares in Malambalala Community Forest in Kasenengwa District. Speaking in an interview with Sanis, Ms. Sakala said the training of the people from within Malambalala area is aimed at reducing the cutting down of trees from their community forest. Zanis has this report.
Working to ensure that it effectively sensitizes the local citizenry on the dangers of climate change. Chipata District Forestry Officer Emma Sakala has been training the residents of Malambalala area under the ZIFU project with skills on how to safeguard their 450 hectares community forest.
As a department, we are really very grateful with the responses that most of these communities have actually come on board and helping in the natural resource management. For them, their main goal, as into what they want to benefit, are mostly the carbon credits that have actually shown that this is a Ready Plus project. With the coming of this forest reserve, it has actually seen another shift in the way these people have actually understood the importance of natural resource management.
And these are people from Manambalara area that were trained in forestry management and beekeeping.
Masiku akuvula patikali yambu kuteteza nkhalango yathu iyi mvula siyenzero kwa bwino chilala chezo nkhala kuchikulene koma tawati zaka zitatetezako nkhalango yathu iyi tapeza kuti mvula yala kwa bwino ndipo solo kuwecha mawechedwe kuno ani buno bwino.
Grant jachoka wanatipasa ndrama yokwanira 893,586 kwacha. So ija ndrama yamene vanatipasa itifuna ambochita beekeeping. 25% ya iyo ndrama inachoka kudala and tinamba kudala na kuyuzinga. So apa ma beehives tinachita kudala, tinachita ma quotations tinatenga. So apa tiyembekeza chabe ya rimurodi kuti tiyambe beekeeping. And if abantu tiri ready maningi and inteo kondwela even community yatu yonse kuikako mafumu bantu wonse vanachirandira and tinatrene wanotrene kuchita beekeeping tili bantu bali 50 amene tifuni koyamba kuteka njuchi mkhalango yathu.
ZAMBIA has been playing an effective role in the mitigation of climate change by discouraging the cutting down of trees for charcoal and agricultural practices that contribute to soil degradation. Sylvester Chimba, reporting for ZANIS in Eastern Province.
In other local stories, a political scientist, Musiani Chone, has expressed concern over the continued notion of certain individuals who have continued to allege that Zambia is a failed state. Speaking to KBN TV in an interview, Mr. Chone says for a nation to be declared a failed state, there are several factors that need to be looked into, and Zambia has not portrayed any of those. He reiterates that no one can claim that government has no control over all its territories because there's no factor of a failed state. He has since advised concerned citizens who are fond of uttering such statements to desist, as it is in no way contributing to the country's development.
So I'd like to take this time to actually comment on people that are talking about Zambia being a failed state. No, it's a weak state, it's a fragile state. You know, when it comes to the study of politics, there are a number of issues that we look at for one to be considered a failed state. And failed states can be generally called weak states. There are a number of states that we can talk about. There are fragile states, there are crisis states, there are states that have just come from conflict, and then there are failed states which are so common to the common man who thinks a failed state is so on and so forth. But for a state to reach a state where it is failed, there are a number of issues that we need to look at. For example, like institutions of governance. Are they actually issuing binding decisions? Is there contestation over their legitimacy, and so on and so forth? And also, when you talk up in terms of a fragile state or a weak state or a failed or collapsed state, we can also talk in terms of, does the government actually have total control over all of its territory? And I don't think that is where Zambia is at right now. There are a number of issues where we need to focus on, but we need to stop this notion of saying Zambia is actually a failed state, because there are a number of issues that we need to focus on before we can actually say we are a failed state.
Zambia has in the last 24 hours newly admitted 195 patients and recorded 28 new COVID-19 deaths. 2,690 new confirmed COVID-19 cases have been recorded out of 11,999 tests. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. Kenneth Malama says the University Teaching Hospital UTH is now operating at 100 bed occupancy and is still mobilizing more bed space. He is however delighted that the 766 health workers employed by government are now reporting to their respective stations to join in the COVID-19 fight and in the provision of routine health services.
24 hours as a country, we recorded 2,690 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 out of the 11,999 tests conducted. This gives us a positivity of 22.4%, bringing the cumulative number of confirmed cases recorded to date to 115,824. The breakdown of the new cases with positivity indicated per province is as follows: Central 269, 38% positivity; Copperbelt 258, 20% positivity; Eastern Province 400, 25% positivity. Luapula 74, 14%. Lusaka 869, 27% positivity. Muchinga 47, 7% positivity. Northern 75, 11% positivity. Northwestern 35, 8% positivity. Southern 378 with a positivity of 24, and Western 285 with a positivity of 21. So this picture clearly illustrates that the whole country continue reporting cases and the positivity continues showing an increasing trend. Again, reminding us that COVID-19 is established in our communities and person-to-person transmission is going on. You look at 100 people who are being tested, 20 of them are coming out positive. A clear indication. But we have an opportunity to stem that, and the adherence to public health measures is the surest way to do that. As you can see, it's not only Lusaka which is recording these huge cases, Copperbelt, Southern, and indeed even our rural provinces. So what we speak about one province applies to all of them in our country.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACASE, is deeply concerned about the rampant positive cases of the coronavirus among teachers and learners in schools across the country. As the nation witnesses many teachers and learners testing positive to coronavirus, education bodies have not seen corresponding and serious measures to combat the spread and contraction of this virus. NACASE is calling upon the Ministry of Finance to seriously fund the Ministry of Education in order for schools to be well resourced with COVID-19 preventive items. Mr. Chansar says due to the coronavirus, the need for more teachers, especially in rural areas, has become a must. At the moment, the few teachers that the education sector have cannot manage the crisis. As an organization, NACASE is disappointed that the Ministry of Health has allowed some schools to flout COVID-19 preventive measures, in the sense that the ministry has not taken deliberate steps to ascertain the extent of the spread of the virus and to enforce adherence to preventive measures in schools. Mr. Chansar urges the Ministry of Health to conduct serious inspections and tests in schools in order to ascertain the extent of infections among teachers and learners.
National Action for Quality Education in Zambia is extremely scared over the escalating numbers of cases in schools. Reports reaching us indicate that a lot of our teachers and learners, not only in Lusaka but across the country, are testing positive. And this is at a time when most of our schools have no desks, no sanitizers, no thermometers. And we fear that if the Ministry of Finance will not fund the Ministry of General Education, we are going to see many more teachers getting positive, many more of our learners getting positive. This is a danger because when we have more cases, we fear that schools could be closed, and this is going to have catastrophic academic effects. We appeal to the Ministry of Finance to immediately fund the Ministry of General Education so that schools could have money to buy these preventive items. We also want to appeal to the Ministry of Higher Education to interrogate the situation in higher institutions of learning. We understand that even there, the situation is dire. We are in a crisis. We need to find means and ways of preventing the spread and also the contraction of this virus. We need teachers to be rotating. We need more desks. We need more sanitizers. And we also need the Ministry of Health to begin to go down to schools to inspect so that we don't have schools flouting the preventive measures as it is today. The ministry must go down and tell us, ascertain the rate at which our learners and teachers are adhering to these COVID-19 preventive measures, and also test so that we see how many teachers and learners are positive in order for us to prevent the virus from.
We take our last set of commercials, so we'll be right back with foreign and sports news. Don't go away.
prosperous nation? Is it vast natural resources, the optimism and the hard work of its people? Or is it the country's ability to create jobs and opportunities, empower men and women to care for their families? Prosperity is calling your nation home, seizing all the opportunities that it presents in agriculture, mining, tourism, and everything God has gifted us under the sun. A prosperous nation is where our dreams are more than just possibilities. They are tomorrow's reality, where every man, woman, and child has access to universal healthcare, with hospitals that have medical supplies, facilities, and medical personnel dedicated to serving their fellow countrymen, to contribute to a healthy and active nation, to wake up every morning proud and free to pursue your dream. A prosperous nation is more than natural resources, a thriving economy, universal healthcare, and vibrant young communities. Prosperity is the people of Zambia.
This message is brought to you by the Socialist Party.
The Euro 2020 is finally here. The biggest European football showpiece starts on the 11th of June on Topstar. 24 teams playing 51 matches across 13 cities. France, Germany, England, Spain, plus many more. Who will be crowned the King of Europe for only 135 kwacha DTT Classic or 140 kwacha DTH Smart? Get your scores right and watch all the 51 games live and in HD on Wild Football. Subscribe now and relive the drama, the skills, and the excitement of the Euro 2020 on affordable Topstar subscription packages. You can't miss out on this best football tournament in June. So hurry and grab yourself a Topstar DTT full kit at only 149 kwacha or DTH full kit at only 299 kwacha and join the growing Topstar family. Topstar. Enjoy digital life.
Welcome back, and now the rest of the news. In international news, thousands of treasure seekers have flocked to Kwalati village in South Africa, believing the area could contain diamonds. It comes after a man dug a crystal-like stone in an open field and put a word of the discovery. The stones haven't been analyzed by geological experts yet, and authorities have asked people on site to leave so that a proper investigation can be carried out. The provincial government also shared a video of the area on Twitter expressing concern over what it has called a diamond rush. They tweeted that they had noted with concern the reports of illegal mining activity taking place at Kwalati outside Ladysmith.
ngikakubona la uthethe idama kodwa ngiyathemba ukuthi nami ekhaya lokhu kuyoshintsha umehluko omkhulu ngoba impilo nje yona kunzima kuyambula kuyambese ngiyathemba ngiphethe lokhu kuyoba ngcono.
Uzosizakala umphakathi uzophela nobugebengu nokuvimbezela abantu besifazana ngoba batabethu okuningi obakwenzayo ngasile basuke bekwenziswa indlala ukuthi umsebenzi awukho abawutholi.
And finally, from our sports news desk, football analyst Patrick Tembo has described Zambia's friendly matches as fruitful. Tembo said the friendlies will help the national team coach Mitchell identify players he can call upon for national duty. He also added that despite losing to Senegal in the first match, Zambia will still gain some points on the FIFA ranking from the draw against Benin and a win against Sudan.
Well, as you may be aware, Zambia played 3 formal or recognized friendlies and 1 practice match. They played against a star-studded Senegal, where they lost 3-1. Then they drew against Benin 2-2. Then they lost in a practice match against Sudan 3-2, and beat Sudan in a recognized friendly 1-0. And the Chiwemrenda, the goalkeeper. Now, it was this friendly has reviewed 3 things, but 1, we are slowly improving, and then if there is any revelation, I can assure you, Grigori Sanjasi, young Green Eagles goalkeeper, will claim a stake between the sticks. His performance against Sudan was very, very good. You couldn't believe that was his first international match. And then Prosper Chiruya has been improving, and is another one who is going to claim a stake in that lineup, which will play the World Cup qualifiers come September. And also, there's some good pairing at the back, where we have some jumper and the young man from Car Warriors. So I think all in all, I can say that the outing was worth it, was worthwhile. It's good that also Zambia lost Senegal. At least they beat Sudan, and they will not drop so much in as far as FIFA are concerned.
To end the main news, a recap on the stories that made headlines. ECZ suspends political campaigns for the PF and UPND. Artificial fuel shortage looms in Lusaka. Zambia records 28 COVID-19 deaths, 2,690 new cases. Unidentified stone spikes hopes of a diamond rush in South Africa. Football analysts described Polo Polo Boys' performance during the friendlies as fair. From me, Petty Chanda, and the entire production team is goodbye and God bless you.
For the most accurate and balanced news, we are a credible and trusted news source. We are KBN Television. Catch us live on Topstar Channel 102. And remember to like our page KBN TV on Facebook for all breaking news. KBN, the finest television.
Chalo na chuama. Hello, road network. I'm a bridge.
Dama hospital. Ma hospital in Palampala.
Patients and the community are really appreciating this provision.
Gama school.
Learn freely without even being bothered about the school fees, because we know that the government are paying for us.
In a month,